I'm excited about this episode of the Elite Recruiter Podcast. I have my special guest, James Pemberton, who is the CEO of Engage Headhunters, to come on the podcast and talk about how he brings in all his new business without making a single cold call. And I know there's some old dogs that are just going to roll their eyes real quick, but there is technology out there that if you use it properly, you can expand your outreach and make a ton of money. So James, definitely welcome to the podcast. Excited to have you on here to share.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So before we get started, let's jump in. How did you get into the world of recruiting?
Yeah, so in 2009 is when, I've known a lot of recruiters seem to have a similar story, but life happened. I had some things happen. My brother passed, and I just found myself in a situation that wasn't ideal. A gentleman approached me who I'd known from, I'd served with his daughter in the military. And he just knew that I was, a gung-ho charging guy that just made a misstep. So he gave me a call and gave me a shot, and he said, "Have you ever heard about recruiting?" I said, "That thing, recruiting, what are you talking about? I didn't even think it existed. I thought Indeed took it over in 2009. So here we are, right?" So or Monster, whoever was back then. But yeah, I was introduced that way, and it was really a situation where I had who did you want to be in life? Did you want to take that misstep and just fall in the rut, or did you want to be somebody? So I decided to, with my military background, and the latter. So I decided to build and do something with it.
Now, did you start off in an agency or?
No, he owned his own boutique firm. He just called me and he gave me the Steve Finkel books. He gave me 2 books, the Steve Finkel books. I got them around here somewhere. He says, "The Future Rock Star." They're around here somewhere, but he gave it to me in December 24th of 2009. He said, "This is how we do business." And I read the books, and he gave me a list, and he said, "Make some calls." And he said, "That's the game." He said, "That's the game. Get on the phone." This is the book he gave me right here. This is the one. So it's right in the beginning.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's how it got started. I didn't know about it. It fell on my lap because of a misfortunate circumstance. But then I've taken it from there and ran with it.
Well, definitely welcome to the wonderful world of recruiting. And how long have you had your own firm?
Well, and the only time I haven't was really in 2012 when I went and worked with another company just to see how a traditional firm worked. So I went and worked with him for 12 months. After 12 months, just got the person, I didn't realize I was paying him more taxes than the government, and then I'm getting taxed on that money. So I didn't see much value in it because they weren't really providing me anything other than a desk and a phone, which I had at home, and I had a computer at home. And they were focused into other niches, and they've done exceptionally well, and they've moved on and sold their company for millions of dollars. So great company. I've learned a lot from them. They still remain to be good friends of mine if I have questions about how to build any of this. They've already built and sold agencies. So it's nice to have good friends like that to be able to call.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's just being a recruiter is being a connector, right? So your network's part of it.
Before we start jumping in and really asking you some really good questions, tell us a little bit about your company right now.
Yeah. So, over the years, I've been evolving a bit as I've had some new skill sets come about because, it's not, most recruiters don't think about digital marketing the way I think about it. I know just because I've been in that seat. And of course, we're in different masterminds on both sides of the coin. I've been in, masterminds like Recruiter U and, some of the DSPs, programs. And, headhunters, a lot of them are just, email outbound, whatever direct sale outbound outreach. They think that's actual marketing. And it is a form, but it is not the complete story. And you leverage LinkedIn. LinkedIn ranks really well on Google. I get all my traffic from Google. They say, "Oh, no one searches for a recruiter." Oh, yes, they do. I guarantee they do. I can prove of it all day. They do. The only reason people are telling you that is because they don't know how to do it.
So you found a way to really just maximize the digital marketing side of the recruiting house.
Google search engine marketing and LinkedIn because you're a recruiter, but really majority, if not I didn't have the resources to go all in on social media and write all this long form content and all this stuff. So what I needed to do is figure out how to get my shingle in front of someone that was looking for me.
Okay.
A better place than search marketing. They're literally intentionally searching for something. If I know how to put myself in front of them, they're ideally the right customer if I have the right keyword.
Is that how you did it without, grown your company without a single cold call?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, even because most recruiters won't invest because they get paid contingently, they don't really believe in paying upfront for marketing. So I've already tried to approach the recruiting market, and there's very few people. So it's really nice of you all to think that way, because it keeps my ads costs really low. It just does. I'm being honest, and I can tell I say that because it's there's plenty of room for everybody in healthcare for sure, for in any niche in the recruiting industry. But that's the reality. No one's paying for ads, and it's very cheap. Or I can go against other SEO companies and fight them to be just like another SEO company.
Okay.
So yeah. So anyway.
So on a tactical question, what is the secret to getting all this incoming business?
Well, it's funny because this is going to be kind of fun playing politics a little bit, but it's controlling the vote. In SEO, all you're doing is getting votes to your content. So if you know how to get votes to your content that are relevant and authoritative, your content's going to end up winning, even though it just is. You're going to get eyeballs on it. Now, if it doesn't convert, now if you got traffic and no conversions, then obviously your offer's a problem. So you fix your problem. But if you have traffic, an offer that converts, you're going to make money. So ice cream cone on Main Street. Who can't sell an ice cream cone on Main Street? If they want it, they're buying it, right? And that's the same kind of thing. If they're here typing it in, they're wanting the service. You just now have to understand their pain points to deliver on it, right? Why are they searching it? Where are they at? Who is searching it? Maybe it's the CEO just told his executive assistant, I need a headhunter to find this. And he didn't. We assume everybody has someone beating on their door, but how many recruiters do you know that have cold call reluctance?
I mean, that's one of the biggest things probably in the industry that keeps most recruiters from being successful is the fear of picking up the phone. I
was in groups and they're saying, hey, I make my 50 business development calls. I'm like, guys, it's 2022. You need to create a content strategy like you're doing right here. This is a very great testament of what you should be doing right now in 2022, 2023 here now, right? This is what you should be doing, because if you're not going to create yourself as a media channel and become an expert to everybody in your niche, someone else will, right? Here you are. So if you're not going to play the game, you're not going to get in the game. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Me Too agencies that aren't brave enough to stand out there and say, who am I? I'm just another guy. Top talent. Oh, please save it. Top talent. I believe you.
Well, let's start really jumping in, is like digging into the questions. Like, as a successful recruiter, what is the mindset required to win at a high level? I
think it's really just, and back in going to the agency, there was a gentleman there, was an older guy, and he was like, guys, we get all excited about these whiz-bang ideas, but he's like, I'm just steady Eddie. And a guy would do $500,000, $1 million a year, and all you do, come with his chew in his mouth, dip in his mouth, gruff. The dude was in there every day making his calls. So the deal is you have to make the calls. There's no way around it. The technology's there to get on the phone. If you're not getting on the phone, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. Time has to increase, and this guy was a test. He said, I'm a steady Eddie. All this business is on the relationship base. Get on the phone and talk to him. But if you can get an appointment with all this stuff, that's everything we do is just try to get him on the phone. If we can't get him on the phone, we can't serve him. I don't believe we can. It's still a phone business, even though I got digital marketing going. But it just helps us turbocharge it, if you will.
Now, and for the listeners, when I talk about no cold calling, like most of the stuff that you're doing is like you're actually on the phone all the time, but it's all because of its inbound work, right? Correct.
So like I have ads out there specifically for nurses and physical therapists. That's where I focused. I'm actually changing that focus because, well, I can, and I can pick any niche with any fee. So like, why don't I just go after the cream? That's what I'm doing now. I'm just reassessing which ones I'd rather be working on and not begging for anything. Just deciding that's what I want, build the content so that people get an audience, just like we're doing here, and then just sharing my expertise so they'll want to pick me.
Awesome.
Hopefully that answered that question for you.
It definitely did. So when you felt like originally, I know you're talking about looking at different niches. Why did you land in the healthcare niche initially?
Really, that was just accidental. I mean, I have a background in information security. Hence, by the way, I did a little search, and I did all-in title search on Google to find out how many people were optimized for cybersecurity headhunter. And there was like 7 in the world. 7. Like, I know a company, because of my friends, did 90 million in that niche last year. 7 people optimized. You can just take it. All you have to do is put some content up. and not having content is not excusable now because you got all these ways of getting it now. Like,
well, real quick, when you say content, are you talking about content like on like your LinkedIn page? Are you talking about content on your website? Like when you're talking about content, what does that mean?
Yeah, so what we do is we post the jobs that we do on our website, not for the same reasons. I recognize that most websites, Google is looking at what real websites do. Indeed, posting on Indeed, a lot of companies do. So I don't have traffic coming from Indeed. Am I a real business? Again, I want Google to trust me, so I have to give Google all the signals I'm real, because I am real. But if I don't care, then I won't have that signal. So I'll post it on the line for that purpose. But we also create a blog post talking about the geographic area. And because my website ranks so well on Google, I start attracting candidates that same way, because when they're researching that local area or they're looking for top employers in said niche, I already have content relevant to that kind of research on my site. So I'm become the authority. So the candidates call and they want to talk to me on the confidential career call, and I can just talk to them what they're looking for. Now, ideally, I've targeted them properly by understanding my avatar, understanding their pains. Marketing is recruiting. Recruiting is marketing. It's just an offer. It's just, hey, you want a product of employment? Here's what's cool. If you want to join our team, here's the benefits. If you want a product or service, here's the benefits. Here's the pain points it solves. And in employment, what pain point you solve. One of my mentors last year that I hired, he said one of the biggest things people miss, especially in cold call, is like, if they don't know you, focus on pain only. Do not try to make it. What stranger likes you making them feel good? It's just weird, right? Like, I mean, feel good. You don't even know me. Like, it's just weird. So if you have a pain, you're more receptive, and if they understand your pain, you're more receptive to listening. Once they've solved the pain and there's some trust, now you can make them feel good. But until then, it's like, if you're cold, don't talk about how you're going to make them $1 million. Like, help them like get that candidate in the door because they're stressed out and having weekends at the office because they can't be with their family.
So talking about content, like for me, sitting down, making content or writing content is hard. Yeah, I love, this podcast. I love, being able to share clips and stuff like that, which that's a fun part of making content. But when creating content that was caught up in SEO, it takes for me a lot of work. I love that there's things like ChatGPT to get me started, but is there any tools out there? Everybody
that's my competitor uses ChatGPT. Google can see a footprint and it's a threat. They've already put a warning out about the content. So if you're using their content and it's a threat to Google, can you please do some logical thinking and just decide that that's not a good idea? You better be modifying that content or you're going to get penalized or that content will not count. Google is going to be able to check it and say they just got all this junk. They already know it's not factual. We already all know this, guys. Does it make sense that they have a purge button so that when this thing got out of control, we could figure out what True North was again?
Well, and it kind of goes into my question. Is there any tools out there that are good for recruiters to look at that would help create content that is needed?
Yeah, there absolutely is. In fact, I'll give you some, there's some tools that I'm using right now. They're focused on not being detected. There's several of them. Jarvis being one of the most popular ones, for sure. There's some other tools I've been using for longer form content, and that, in fact, if you're good with that, there's actually a link. It's content scale, but if you go through the link I'll send you, Ben, everybody gets a bonus if they buy. If you do, you do. You don't, you don't. I use it. You can actually plug it in. It's a really great tool for long form content. So if you are looking for a blog writer, it looks at the SEO. It analyzes the tool. It analyzes your competitors. It tells you what, should be in the article potentially. You can guide it with context, just like you can with ChatGPT. The more you tell it, the better and more intelligent the output. That's one thing that I've been doing lately is when I do get a good output from these tools, it's good to record the question you asked it. That's my swipe file, because that's really the question is the new answer. Like it's what I'm thinking is like when you're answering that question, it gives you a great output and you saved it because it gave you that perfect blog article. And then you can just pop and swap a company name. Say if it's a job description, you want to rewrite job descriptions for companies. Let's face it. You go to Indeed, most of them are garbage, right? They're not written for as a marketer.
I mean, talking about ChatGPT and job descriptions, actually, a client of mine sent over a pretty bad job description. And that's, bad job descriptions are pretty normal in the GovCon space. And I literally plugged it into ChatGPT, kicked back exactly what it said. It said to them, and they were like, "What the heck is this?"
And plugin that I'll share with you guys that is pretty awesome. It's called Merlin. I was on a YouTube channel. I just get a point to follow things in AI because if you're not paying attention right now, it's crazy. The leverage is in AI. We all know it. The new world coming at us. But this new Chrome extension called Merlin, it's really nice because what it does It allows you in a browser to copy whatever it is in the browser and allow you to hit the button in the bottom right that says Ask Merlin. And then what you can do, it copies that text, and then it asks you, what do you want to do with this content? So I could say, rewrite this content for the Elite Recruiter podcast and make Ben the speaker and do these extra this, and it'll take the content and rewrite it based on your directions and spit it out right in your browser. So you don't even have to, and it's all going through ChatGPT. And better than that, like when you do a Google search, if you have Merlin installed, there's a button on there and it says, what's the best, headhunter in the United States. Whatever's on there, Merlin's going to read that SERP and give you a spun out answer. It's really great. It's really a cool little tool. It's free, so check it out. It's a Chrome extension. I learned of it by just being, I love learning, so I found that little tool.
Well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Like, you've been in the industry for a while. I feel like the industry is like on the cusp of another change.
It is.
What's your thoughts on the future of recruiting?
I don't think a lot of us believe in the 40-hour work week any longer. There's a lot of us on work-life balance. There's a lot of things in the world. Again, there's different people out there too, entrepreneurs like myself. I work all the time. I'm passionate. I don't feel like, I just love what I do. Like, everybody's like, what do you do? It's a video game to me, I guess. I don't know. I like it. I'm sorry I have to not, do something I don't enjoy to make you feel okay. Like, I just do. I work a lot because I enjoy it. Now, there's other people that want to enjoy life, and there's a work-life balance, which is nothing wrong with that. We need those folks. But I do believe they recognize that there's a lot of different ways to earn money, especially they got laid off during COVID. There's a lot of things that's happened. You can set up YouTube videos and make money, even if it supplements your income. It doesn't have to be a full-time income. You could work part-time there and have a part-time income and have a great life now that you couldn't do this 30 years ago as easily. It's so easy to do such things, which is why I'm choosing, as I go forward, this is what I'm looking at. I realize executive search, I can only scale it. I could sell 100 searches and I can't go golf more because I got to go search. But if I sell 100 software packages, or I sell, that actually fixes a problem that doesn't leverage me being in the office. But if I sell 100 software packages, or I find a LinkedIn automation tool or coach a program that works, and I can actually help my students get in a great way, I can go golf more and provide more value. If I continue to focus on just one-on-one, like executive search, which is nothing wrong with that. Someone's got to do that. But I just see where I'm shifting is one-to-many. So this type of a platform, LinkedIn events are hot right now. Guys, what if you did how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to check better job opportunities? And then what if your candidates could then go on there and have you help them optimize a profile, which improves their visibility to your client.
Yeah.
So now you got a pool of people that want, you don't cold call. That's just one other way. That's another way. I'm working on different strategies like this. You can automate things like this. But part of it's just being willing to get on the camera and just being willing to share what you know. So I don't like being on camera. I don't like selfies. I'm not going to post all these vanity pictures. I'm 44. I feel it's weird. I just do. I don't like, but if it'll help someone else, that's why I decided it's time to jump on the camera, because a lot of people tell me I have all this knowledge. I want to start sharing it and helping people with it and learning to leverage it.
Well, definitely thank you for jumping on this podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, let me shift gears into some questions that I ask every guest. I know these are questions that make a big impact on the listeners. For new recruiters, what advice would you give them?
You're a networker. You're a connector. Get interested in them. You're a consultant. You have more than one job. Stop pitching a job as if it's the only you have. Start pitching the opportunity to talk to you, who talks to the whole market. So when they think about their future, not a job, I think. Especially now, if you look at the demographic, and again, I'm on the cusp, the participation, making people feel good, whatever. Know your avatar, right? If that's what they need, then you need to help them. I tell all of my clients now, you have to start tying your goals. Why should they care to come to your company? What is in it for them? How's their life going to be better? We know that yours is going to be better, but they don't care about your slave trade. They want an actual life that's better. So if you don't have that, guess what? Someone else down the road does, and they know how to sell it. And there's not an infinite number of people that are willing to go to work anymore. So you better be attractive and treating them right, or you're not going to get them. And that's so just it. And if not, you're going to leave, because right now millennials leave within less than 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the average. But why? Who can blame them? So you got to be appealing if you want to have longevity, and provide them a way to hit their goals, whatever they are. But if you don't ask them, if you don't know, and I don't think enough employers actually spend time doing it. They just need someone in the seat to do the thing.
Yep.
And of course, unfortunately, that didn't last long. It turns over a lot more money.
The joys I see all the time in GovCon. Well, let me re-ask that question for experienced recruiters. What advice would you give them to keep on winning?
Blocking and tackling. Because the funny thing is, with the more experience, you get these new skill sets. And the thing is, when I get away from the things that made me successful. So one of the things I'll share about the digital marketing space that I know most people won't get, and I've noticed it now. I've built the business both ways. The first way with MPCs, which is what most people do, right? And I call that begging for business, because you're like, hope someone can want this person, right? Like, and that's fine. I do it too. If we got a good candidate, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's one way of doing it. But I call that the real way, the engine. So you can control that. Like, inbound is a turbocharger. But if you rely on the inbound only, and then it dries up and goes away, you have nothing to rest your head on. And I can tell you right now, it creates laziness, because it is a turbocharger. But if it's your engine, you're going to blow it, if that makes any sense. Like, the whole core of this business, if you're good at the traditional business right now, like banging out the phones and doing that core, blocking and tackling, adding a turbocharger and getting inbound leads coming in is exactly that. It's a turbocharger. And the one thing that will happen is you'll get so many calls that you'll start getting distracted with the calls and get you away from the recruiting you're used to doing, unless you build systems around that, which is what happens. Well, a lot of us learn to be 360 recruiters, and to me, that's a path to hell. It's a slave trade. Like, you're just slaving away all day, and you chase your tail every day. And I think that's one of the things we're going to see change. One of the reasons I'm looking at software solutions that I can provide my clients, and even ATSs, they don't have them, and who's going to sell it to them? I know they have a problem, so I'm diagnosed the recruitment problem rather than just being that commodity freaking ass filler in the seat. Put someone in the seat. Why be that? Be a consultant, be of value so they come back. And if I show them some different ways, even if it doesn't make me direct money, I become that consultant to them, and they'll come back to me more because they trust me. That's my philosophy on it. So I try to share that with my clients and say, look, there's the reason. Sure, I can help you get a fish, which is me giving you a candidate, but the reason you need my help in the first place is because your website is horrible. It's not positioned right. It has no local visibility. You're not on a job board. Your job descriptions are horrible. I mean, this is 101. I just made 18 grand off a company that literally just didn't have a help wanted sign because the candidate that got placed there went in and took her father there 2 weeks before. I called her to ask if she was open for an opportunity. She goes, yeah, I was just there. It was great. And I said, they tell you they're hiring? They said, no. I said, well, they are. And if she would have known, she would have applied. All they had to do was put a sign up, but they don't have that. So I mean, hey, I didn't do anything wrong, but I got paid and everybody won. But still, they
could have saved themselves $18,000 on that fee,
just right there. And then they want to complain about your high fee. Their stupidity is what they're paying for in a lot of cases. They're just unawareness. I don't want to say stupidity. That's not fair. Unaware, right? They got other hats they're wearing. They're just not paying attention to that, and it's just a simple thing that they can fix. That just being overlooked.
Well, let me switch gears a little bit. Some of these are questions I ask every guest. What is a favorite quote of yours?
Oh, it's The Man in the Ring by Theodore Roosevelt. It's kind of long, but essentially it's just, everybody can have judgment, but the person that's getting beat on, the person that's willing to fail, the person that, has they believe enough in the dream, they bet it all and they keep going. They just ain't stopping for nothing. I've been bankrupted a couple of times. I've had some failures along the way. I got a lot of lessons, baby, and it's good because I paid the tuition. So on certain things you have to go through to learn. You can't just read it through a book. You got to have the guts to jump. If you ain't got the guts to jump, then, well, you don't. So you stay stuck.
And what's a book that has had a huge impact on your career?
Actually, one that's really great, I just read. It's like one of those books that, when you read it, like you're like, holy cow, I got something out of it. Psychopictography.
Okay.
I just read it about 6 months ago. I just recently started picking up. Just has some different words like how to get mental images in your head, really, because a lot of our way we live our lives is how we see ourselves in our heads, and the mental images that we, again, positive or negative, there's all kinds of things like that. But this book really helped me see. When my brother died, I had a lot of anger, but I was internalizing it for things I didn't do like, why was I doing it? But there's just silly things that we do subconsciously that unless you're aware, you don't know. And I also like one of the things he says is like, we have all the intelligence we need. We just don't have the awareness. So you're all the smarts. You're just not aware of what things, and we're limited by our own belief of what we know. So the more the more you are aware of things, and that's why I read all the time, because I'm not where I want to be yet. So it means I got to put in some work as far as I'm concerned. If I could carry $10 million, I'd have $10 million. So I got to get strong enough and smart enough to carry $10 million. I mean, that's the way I look at things. Anyway, another one real quick. I do this one every morning. 177 mental toughness secrets of world class. It's a great one just for a one-pager in the morning for a quick little read in a journal to get your mind thinking about winning instead of anything else that might have creeped in there at any time. I do that one in the morning first thing just to kind of get my mind and just use it to get in the game.
That's actually a great book. I love just picking that up and just randomly opening up a page and just like, okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You read a page and you get something and you can go about your day. Much like, having long form content. Who got time for it? I can pick it up and get something out of it and move on.
Okay. So if you can go back and talk to yourself early in your career, what advice would you give yourself?
I would not have shut down my recruiting agency when I learned how to do SEO. See, I made a big mistake there. I didn't realize what I had when I first did this. So what I originally did, I got tired of the feast and famine. I'm allergic to it, guys. That's one of the reasons I'm going into software. I hate this permanent placement where like you have money, a lot of it, and then some days you don't. And some of it's in your control and some isn't. The mailman come today? I don't know. Like I got tired of that. And then there was a point where I did digital marketing where I had like a nice 30, 40 grand a month thing coming in. Life's a lot easier when you got that flow and consistency. So I've been looking for things like that. So I would just say, look, value reoccurring revenue a lot more than just the big fees. Like even if you got 100 people paying you $200 a month, that's some good money. And we don't value that enough with building the tribe. We just want these big fees. You get fascinated with that, which is nothing wrong with that. But again, also I would value leveraging products instead of service. Not that service is a problem, but at some point, the money has to start working for me. If I'm sweating for it every day in the service business, then how do I get out? I got to find a way out, right? And this is what I'm doing with even my mastermind programs with Build Don't Beg, is like build these assets and these mindsets. And even the softwares I'm building, all of them are to serve recruiters, but I'm referring to these softwares everywhere else. I figured I need to start getting in the AI game. I need to get my own developers. Like, what am I doing? And that's what I'm doing. That's what because I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to get on the senior PGA tour. I need $15 million. I know exactly what I need it. I know exactly what I want, and I'm damn sure willing to do anything it takes to get it.
Awesome. Well, before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd love to share with the listeners?
I mean, really, no. If in the recruiting game, the biggest thing is blocking and tackling. And I would say this too: the biggest mistake I learned was learning 12 jobs. What I should be doing was finding 12 other awesome people that leverage my skill sets. So it's not so much about learning them all yourself. Great, it's good to know about them, but at some point you got to drop that L and start earning, right? Like learning, drop the L. I got that a long time ago from an old mentor, but it's like at some point you got to stop learning and getting off that couch and start earning with the skill sets. But a lot of times it's about who you talk with and who you network with, not so much how do I do everything myself. Unless, of course, your vision of your future was to sit in the office all day, working your ass off 18 hours a day so you can like make everybody think you're the greatest recruiter in the world. Or was it to be on the beach in Cabo enjoying your family? I'm thinking it's probably the latter. So what's the exit? Where do we stop? Where do we leverage all this work we put in as recruiters? Because once we figure that purpose out, it's easier to do all those calls. It's easier to start strategizing. And the days get shorter because you're energized to build your future rather than more prison. That's the stuff I've been working on mentally, just to kind of get my mind around building my future. It's freedom instead of, they say, what do you want to be, grow up? Free. I don't want to be a recruiter. I want to be free of all this. I want to be golfing. I want to be on the beach. I want to do anything I want. Free. That's why I'm doing this. So anyway, that's what I do. And yeah.
Well, James, I just want to say thank you for joining us on the podcast. For the listeners, once again, thank you guys for listening. And feel free to also join the Elite Recruiter community. I'll have the link for that in the show notes also. But James, once again, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.